Hello and welcome to science. So this term we are going to be studying forces and motion is actually the title of our topic, but I've just written forces. And I've done a little cover page to give you some ideas of some of the things that we're going to be looking at. So, what is a force? Now, hopefully this would be the point in the lesson where I would say, okay, everybody, can you tell me what is a force? But you need to think in your heads, what do you think a force is? And I'm going to talk to you about it. So, forces are essentially pushes and pulls in different directions. Okay, so a force is a push or a pull upon an object, resulting from the object's interaction with another object. So, interaction means how it's somehow connecting with or having a relationship with another object. Okay, so to exert a force upon a chair, something else would have to put the force onto the chair. It would be some variation of a push or a pull. And whenever there is an interaction between two objects, there is a force upon each of the objects. And when the interaction ceases or when it stops, the two objects no longer experience the force. So if a table is on a floor, if the bottom of the legs of a table are touching the floor, then they are interacting. And therefore, a force is being exerted on both of the objects. Whenever you are touching anything, there is a force between you and that object. Okay? It might not necessarily be a force which is resulting in movement, but there is always a force going on. So any interaction between two objects is a force. How many different forces can you name? Have a think now in your head. What different types of force can you think of? Okay, how many did you get? We have got friction, gravity, magnetic, applied force, so that's like pushing, buoyant force, so that's something keeping something up in the air or up in water, tension, two different things going in different directions, drag, which is also known as air resistance, spring force. Now, you might know some things about some of these forces and you might not know much about some of them. We will be learning more as we go through the term, so I'm not going to go into detail now. Think, what do you already know? There are two different types of force, so all forces can be sorted into two categories. We can have contact force. This is where two interacting objects are physically touching each other. So friction, for example, when a car is going along a road, there is friction. Or we could have pushing or pulling. We are physically touching the object. But there is also non-contact forces. This means two interacting objects are not physically in contact with each other, but they can still exert a push or a pull, despite their physical separation. So, for example, gravity. Gravity pulls things downwards even though, there is no actual physical interaction on the object. We could also have a magnet. A magnet could pull an object towards it even though it is not touching. So we can sort all forces into contact and non-contact. So here's some examples. So contact, you can have applied force, a spring force, drag force, friction, normal force, which is when we're talking about things being placed on the ground. And then non-contact, I've talked about already, magnets, gravitational, also electric force are not things touching each other directly physically. I hope that makes sense. I've got a video that I would like you to watch called What is a Force? And the link for it is in the assignment. Please watch this video next. Okay. Then your next activity is, in your book, you have to write the date and the LO. I'm going to go forward. Oh no, you don't have a date and LO today because this is your title page for forces. Okay, so you need to do this in your topic book, unless you have your science book at home, but most people don't have their science books. Well, they don't in 5P, maybe you do in 5D. So you need to do it in your topic book. If you have your science book, do it in your science. If you have your topic, do it in your topic. So you are going to create in the middle of your page a table, and it's like we do it at school. KWL, what I know, what I want to know, and what I learned. Okay, so at the moment, you're only going to fill in what I know and what I want to know. So in what I know, you need to put 3 bullet points of information, facts that you already know about forces. It might be something that you've learnt in this lesson today, or it might be some things that you know from previously when you've done forces in an earlier year group, something that you've read, something that you've researched. This is your chance to show off, okay? What things do you already know about forces? Maybe you know some really cool facts. Then you need to write 3 things that you would like to find out. What do you want to know? So if you're doing these as a question, they should have a question mark at the end. If it's a statement, then obviously it doesn't need a question mark. Again, 3 things that you would like to know, and you're not filling in the what I learned section yet. Then you're going to decorate the rest of your title page with a funky title about forces. I did mine quite quickly. To be honest, it's not the best thing I've ever done. You could spend more time and do a really cool forces title. Maybe in your title you could include some types of forces, like you could do a magnet for the sea, for example. And then around the edges and at the bottom, I want you to say what is a contact force, what is a non-contact force, and then do some pictures of different types of force and label them. So I did pushing and pulling, magnets, and gravity. And then I've written a contact force is, and then I would fill in the rest, and what a non-contact force is. And you can use this PowerPoint to help you. So here's some more examples, but this is what it's going to look like in your book. So you do not need to write the date in LO. You just need to write the title, forces. You need to do the table. You need to write what are contact forces and non-contact forces, and you need to do some picture examples. If you're struggling to think of questions, okay, things that you want to know about forces, here are some ideas. So you might want to know more about how to measure forces. What are the units for force? You might want to know more about gravity in relation to different parts of the universe. You might want to learn more about magnets. Maybe you want to know about friction on different surfaces or different types of transport. Something to do with air resistance, water resistance. You might want to learn about how gears work, how machines work, how levers, pulleys work. Maybe you want to think about how force works in water, forces in technology. Okay, so those are all some ideas of the things that you might want to formulate questions about. Do not forget to check your punctuation and spelling. We do not want to receive your work and see that you have not used capital letters at the beginning of your bullet points or full stops or question marks at the end. Okay, it's science, however, your English should be just as good as in an English lesson. So please check before you've done it. When you have finished your beautiful page, you need to take a photo of it and you need to send it to Seesaw. You may use colouring pencil, but you cannot use felt tips. We do not want felt tips in the books. So, to summarise, when you finish this video, please watch the second video and then create your forces title page. Any questions, just let us know.